And he went ashore. He saw the great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now late. Send the crowds away, so they may go into the villages and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "They need not go away. You give them something to eat." They replied, "We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish." And he said, "Bring them here to me." Then he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples. And the disciples gave them to the crowds. And all ate and were filled. And they took up what was left over of the broken pieces, 12 baskets full. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
So, for those of you who are not regular, I just want to remind you that today's the day that we're going to pass the microphone around. And it's kind of like a shared homily. So I will begin and then pass the mic around. And if you're, just like always, if you're not comfortable sharing, just take the mic from the one person and just give it to the next person. So the gospel starts when Jesus heard of the beheading of John the Baptist. And what Matthew does is Matthew juxtaposes 2 parties, if you will. Herod has a birthday party, and Jesus has a party of feeding 5,000, more than 5,000, not 5,000 men, not including women and children. So there could have been 10,000 people there, like a whole town. It kind of blows my mind just to think about the crowds. But John the Baptist, what happened was is that Herod has this party, and he's stealing his oats, and there's a young girl who dances for him, and she must have been a beautiful dancer, and he was so taken by it, he said, "I will do whatever you want." And the girl goes to her mother, and her mother knows that John the Baptist and Jesus were kind of causing an uproar in the town. And so the mother said, "All right, ask for the head of John the Baptist." And the girl could not have been older than James. She was a kid. And so she goes to Herod and she said, "I want the head of John the Baptist." And Herod then finds himself in a tough position because he had no intention of killing anybody. But everybody heard him, "Oh, she's a beautiful dancer, I'll do whatever you want." So he was on the line. So he had to be good on his word. And so he told his soldiers, "Go get the head of John the Baptist." They put it on a platter, and they handed it to the girl. When Jesus found out about this, he was devastated. John the Baptist was his cousin, was his good friend. They looked out for each other. You know the story of John the Baptist preparing the way for Jesus. And so Jesus, in his mourning, goes away. And the crowds follow him, which is to say that they're that rumbling, whatever Herod and his people were thinking, whatever that woman was thinking, it was true. People were following these 2 people, John and Jesus. And Jesus sees in the crowd all their brokenness, and he goes out and he cures their sick. And in the midst of that, the sun begins to go down, and the disciples say, "All right, we need to send these people back into town so that they can get the food that they need." And Jesus says, "You feed them." And they're like, "But we don't have enough food. We only have 5 loaves and 2 fish." And Jesus says, "Bring it to me." And same time, I wonder if as they were handing out to the people over here, maybe somebody else thought, oh, they're getting some bread. I have a little bit. Let me give mine. And so that miracle extended itself, that people were sharing and sharing and sharing so much that there was bread and fish left over at the end. Jesus asked the disciples to go out and serve. And they didn't feel themselves adequate. Was there ever a time that you were called out to serve? Either to do something or to be there for somebody, and you felt like you weren't ready for that, whatever it might be. As I tell my story, I invite you to think about yours. So, it was one of my kids from youth ministry at Corpus Christi. He was away at college. 4 o'clock in the morning, I get a call. Hi, Sony. I'm going to commit suicide. And I'm like, oh my goodness, my brain cells weren't working fast enough. Like I couldn't absorb what he was saying. And I thought to wake up, maybe what I could do was just repeat what he was saying. So I said, okay, Mike, you're going to commit suicide. And out of a dead sleep, Joe says, call 911. So I said to Mike, I said, okay, Mike, what I want you to do is we're going to hang up the phone and we're going to call, I want you to call 911. And with that, Mari comes flying through the door of our bedroom, our walls are thin, and she said, don't hang up the phone, keep talking to him. I'll call 911. But as she said that, the kid said to me, I am not calling 911, I don't want sirens, I don't want police, I don't want anything. And so I said, okay, you're not going to call 911. So I'm repeating to still try to wake up. And then Mari says to me, call his mother. And so I said, all right, Mike, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call your mother. I'm going to put you both on speaker. And I'm going to ask you to talk to each other. And you can talk in German, because I know that's your first language. And then just have your mother repeat to me in English that she knows what's going on. So they chatted for a while. And then she came on to me, and she said, okay, I know everything. We're going to hang up. I'm going to talk to him directly. And then that's what we did. So we hung up, and an hour later, she texted me saying, I'm picking up a flight down to his college, and she ended up going down. She spent the day with him. He is still alive. She's okay. So the miracle happened with Joe and Mari and his mother all being part of this experience, because I could not have done it by myself. So that's my story. I invite you to share yours. Let's